All right, today we're going to tackle a really big topic, one that literally affects every corner of our planet, from the deepest parts of the ocean right into our own bodies. Yep, we're talking about the plastic crisis. And to really get a handle on it, you just need to hear one thing.
Yeah, you heard that right. Every single minute. A whole garbage truck's worth. Just let that sink in for a second. That's our starting point for understanding the unbelievable scale of the problem we're up against. So, to really get this crisis, we have to rewind a bit and look at the material itself. I mean, how did something that was hailed as a miracle end up becoming such a global nightmare?
When plastic first showed up, it was a total game changer. It was cheap, it was tough, and you could make pretty much anything out of it. But its greatest strength, that incredible durability, well, that's turned out to be its fatal flaw. See, unlike paper or wood, it doesn't just decompose. It just stays for centuries.
And here's the kicker. When that plastic does start to break apart, it doesn't actually go away. No, it just shatters into these tiny, tiny fragments we call microplastics. And these little particles can hang around in our environment for up to 1,000 years. 1,000! A single plastic bottle could outlive generations and generations of your family. It's just wild.
Now, we hear all the time that recycling is the answer, right? But the numbers tell a very different story. A shockingly different story. Only a tiny 9% of all the plastic we've ever made has actually been recycled. Meanwhile, a whopping 79% of it is just sitting in landfills, or worse, has found its way into nature. The system we have, it's just not working.
Okay, so we've established that all this plastic is sticking around for a ridiculously long time. So what? What's it actually doing to our planet? Well, the consequences are, frankly, way more devastating than you might even imagine.
So let's try to wrap our heads around the scale here. We've probably all heard of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, right? But it's hard to really picture it until you realize it's a floating island of trash that's twice the size of Texas. And the craziest part? That's just one of 5 of these massive ocean garbage patches around the world.
And this plastic isn't just floating there looking ugly, it's an active death trap. You've got sea turtles mistaking plastic bags for jellyfish, which blocks up their insides. Whales and seabirds have been found with stomachs so packed with plastic that they've literally starved to death. And it's not just the animals. When plastic settles on coral reefs, the chance of those reefs getting sick jumps to an incredible 89%. We're talking about wiping out entire ecosystems. And this is where the problem really hits home, where it becomes deeply personal. Those tiny microplastics we talked about, they get eaten by small fish. Then, bigger fish eat those fish, and, well, eventually we eat them. It's a straight line from the ocean's trash can right onto our dinner plates. We now know for a fact these particles are in human blood. In our lungs, they're everywhere. And if you're trying to picture just how much plastic we're talking about, it's about 5 grams a week. That's what they estimate the average person consumes. That's basically the weight of a credit card. So it's like you're eating a credit card every single week.
And the dangers don't even stop there. As plastic sits in the ocean and breaks down, it leaches toxic chemicals like BPA, poisoning the water. But honestly, this next part might be the scariest. Plastic pollution harms phytoplankton. These are tiny marine organisms that are absolutely vital because they produce more than half of the oxygen we all breathe. So by messing with them, we're literally messing with the planet's lungs. So with a problem this enormous, you have to ask, who's responsible? It's a complicated question, and the answer isn't just about what you or I throw away. It's much bigger than that.
Well, when you look at the data, you see 2 main sources pop up. On one side, you have countries that are major sources of plastic pollution, often because they just don't have the infrastructure to manage all the waste. But, and this is a huge but, many wealthy nations actually ship their plastic waste to these very same countries. Then, on the other side, you have a handful of corporations that are consistently named the world's top polluters, just pumping out billions and billions of single-use plastic items every year.
And really, the #1 villain driving this whole crisis is single-use plastic. Just think about it for a second. That water bottle, the food wrapper, the plastic fork, you use it for what, 10 minutes? And then it sticks around in the environment for hundreds of years. The mismatch between how long we use it and how long it lasts is just, it's astounding. Okay, I know all of this can feel incredibly overwhelming. It's a lot, but I promise, the story doesn't end here. It is not hopeless. There are real solutions, and a lot of them are already happening. So let's talk about how we can start to turn this tide.
You know, Real change can start small. Simple swaps right in your own home, like using a reusable water bottle or shopping bag, they genuinely add up. When we shop, we can literally vote with our dollars by choosing products that aren't wrapped in tons of plastic. And then, in our communities, we can join local cleanups and, just as importantly, push for bigger policy changes. Every single small action becomes part of a much more powerful collective movement.
And looking at the big picture, there's some amazing innovation happening that gives us real hope. I mean, get this. There are massive engineering projects right now actively pulling plastic out of our oceans. Scientists are discovering enzymes that can literally eat plastic. We're developing new materials like bioplastics as real alternatives. And governments are finally starting to pass laws that make corporations financially responsible for the waste they create. The fight is officially on every single front.
Look, the plastic crisis is absolutely massive, it's complex, but the solutions, from the ones we make in our own homes to the ones we make on a planetary scale, they are within our reach. The journey to a cleaner world, it really does begin with one single step. So the only question left is, what's your first step going to be?